Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind, our girls basketball recap show, as always brought to you by Heidemann and Associates. If you have any legal needs, the experts at Heidemann and Associates can take care of you. It's a full-service law firm with locations along the Wasatch Front. They can also meet with you virtually. If you have any legal questions, you're not quite sure if you need representation, or maybe you want to get a living will and trust or other things set up for your family, contact the experts at Heidemann and Associates. You can visit them online at utah.law or give them a call, and if you tell them Rewind sent you, you'll get a free consultation. All you have to do is call 801-472-7742. It's the holiday season. We got holiday tournaments going on. We've got a fun holiday edition of our recap show coming up to you where we bring you presents. All right, not literal presents, but our digital presents on your screen. We're excited to be able to catch up on all the happenings of girls basketball through the first couple of weeks with region play right around the corner. Man, crazy how fast the season flies. But let's dive right into it, shall we? We've got a couple of topics we're going to touch on today. We've even got a couple of special awards. You'll want to stick around for that. Let's talk about maybe the game of the week. There have been a couple of doozies this week. But how about Copper Hills and Cedar Valley? Copper Hills, number one team in 6A. They had a couple losses this week. We'll get into that. But trying to come back off of those losses. And Cedar Valley, this is a team that was undefeated, coming in, playing with all sorts of confidence. This game, Cedar Valley, the Aviators took Copper Hills to triple overtime. It was a great game on both ends. But in the end, Copper Hills getting the 69-67 victory. Skyly Barker had 31 points, 8 rebounds, and she's back to her average, actually above average in this one. Ayla Marson finished with 15 and 12 to help lead the way for Copper Hills. Meanwhile, Savannah Clott, 20 points for the Aviators in the loss, and Daisy Thane had 15. It was a big game for Cedar Valley. Man, they put out a heck of an effort up and down the floor. This one was so entertaining. Go back and give that one a watch. You can actually find it on YouTube on the Rewind Sports Network channel. Heck of a game, but Copper Hills able to withstand the pressure and tenacity of Cedar Valley, 69-67 in triple overtime. Let's dive into a couple of feel-good stories, shall we? Everybody loves a comeback, right? Well, except for those who lost the lead. How about Grantsville-Syracuse? This was the first loss of the year for Syracuse. The Titans actually led this game 20-10 at the end of the first quarter, but Grantsville stamping, or at least continuing to maybe demonstrate maybe the best team in the state. We'll get into that topic here in just a little bit. But Avery Allred helped the Cowboys, the Grantsville Cowboy, come back as 20 points, 7 rebounds. And we've got something else. We'll talk about Avery in this one in just a moment. Meanwhile, Bailey Louder, 14, 8, and 6 for Louder. Congratulations, big game from that duo as they were able to hand Syracuse the 55-48 loss, of the first loss of the year for the Titans. Maylee Anderson had 17 points, 4 triples in that losing effort for the Titans. Another game, woo, what a crazy one this one. Dixie beating Mountain Crest 69-68. It was a 20-5 fourth quarter for the Flyers. They were down 14 coming into the fourth quarter, able to come back, get the win. Izzy Hollingshed, 19 points, 3 threes for the Flyers in the win. Brinley Bennett had 14, and Winters and Bundy each with 11 apiece for Dixie. Meanwhile, Emerson Brown, 19 points, 3 threes in the loss, and Lily Smith finishing with 16 points for Mountain Crest. All right, we had a performance this week we got to talk about. Our Windex Award. I couldn't come up with anything more cheerful than Windex. Everyone loves Windex, right? Bear River playing South Summit. Bear River got the 46-44 win. Congratulations to the Bears. Aubrey Fry had 13. Hadley Peebley had 11. But how about the game for Emma Broadbent? 17 points. That's great. 36 rebounds. 36! Wow. Emma, congratulations. Clearing the glass for South Summit despite falling to the Bears 46-44. Wanted to call that out. All right. It's time for our first holiday award. It's our Holiday Cheermeister. Yeah, we're giving out a Holiday Cheermeister Award. And look, Joss Baker had herself a ball game. Olympus defeating Box Elder 64-41. How about this line for Joss Baker? 33 points, 15 rebounds, 6 steals. Yeah, that's a heck of a night for Joss Baker. You are our Holiday Cheermeister. Congratulations, Joss. And look, you can't have a Holiday Cheermeister without a couple of Grinches. Yeah, we've got some Grinches we need to call out because we got a couple players that maybe thieving around a little bit. Davis beat Riverton 49-44, but how about the game for Tamia Edawati? She had 4 steals in this one, like the Grinch just slithering through, stealing that basketball away from Riverton, helping Davis get the big win. In all seriousness, so it was a great game for Timea. Had 24 points, 5 rebounds, again, those 4 steals. Congratulations, Davis gets a nice win. Faith Stauffer had 13 points for Riverton, coming up just short. But when we talk about Grinch, there's really one team. If their defense is not called the Grinch defense, I don't know what else you would call it. And that's Grantsville. Grantsville continuing to play fantastic. But this team is averaging, the team, 21 steals a game. That is unreal. Grinch-like defense from Grantsville. They continue to this year. We talked about that Syracuse game. Avery Allred, her 20 points, her 7 rebounds, fantastic. She had 9 steals that game. 9 steals. More steals than rebounds for Avery Allred. Not uncustomary, because again, this Grantsville defense, we saw them against Copper Hills a couple weeks ago. Man, they are intense. They put pressure, double teams. They make it incredibly difficult for the opposing offense to be able to execute, bring the ball up the floor. We love you, Grantsville. Say this with all the love in our hearts. That defense is Grinch-like, just how it goes around and steals the basketball. So a couple of Grinch awards, Timea Edawati for her defense, and then that Grantsville defense, Avery Allred and others with their tenacity defensively. Wanted to call that out. All right, let's get into a quick discussion, shall we? We talked a little bit about Grantsville. They had another big win this last week, defeating Draper APA 69-52. Avery Allred had 24. Emmy Butler had 21 and 14. Big games. Aaliyah Baldwin had 23 as the Eagles came up short, and Savannah Karshner had 15. But Grantsville getting the 69-52 win. They already beat Copper Hills. They just handed Syracuse their first loss of the season. There's another team in the mix of this whole thing, and that's Ridgeline. The Ridgeline Riverhawks, Emily Skinner. We had a chance to see them this last week, taking on Copper Hills up in Cache Valley, up in Millville. And Ridgeline, this game was close in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. The defense of Ridgeline, the rebound of Ridgeline, and then their offensive execution created enough separation, get away from Grantsville, had a big lead in this one, or away from Copper Hills, had a big lead in this one. The Grizzlies came back, but in the end, 50-39, your final score in favor of the Ridgeline Riverhawks. Skinner had 16, Brown had 11. The corner threes were deadly for Ridgeline. When you play Ridgeline, you better keep that 3-ball covered. I love that Copper Hills tried to mix it up a little bit, throw some different defenses at them. It did not work because Ridgeline shot incredibly well. Barker finished with 19, Marston with 10 in the loss for Copper Hills. But in the end, Ridgeline with an impressive win. Ridgeline had their first loss of the year this week in a tournament against an out-of-state team. So Ridgeline, Grantsville, look, those look to be the 2 best teams. I'll let you decide who you think the best one is. Would be awesome to see these 2 go head-to-head. I've got my opinion. We're not going to share it. We'll keep that under wraps for a few more weeks, but both continue to have fantastic starts to the year. Both are really testing their teams, trying to get ready for their respective classification playoff runs. All right, let's catch you up on a few other games that we haven't talked about that occurred over the last week or two. Fremont Skyridge, this was a heck of a game. 19-10 fourth quarter helped the Silver Wolves outlast the Falcons as they came back to get the win, 49-48. Sophie Valdez had 13. Abigail Christensen had 11 in the win for Fremont. Osier led Skyridge with 14. How about Bingham? Boy, a big win for the Bingham Miners as they defeated Timpview. Just the second loss of the year for Timpview. It was a 27-9 run between the second and the third quarter for the Lady Miners, as Addie Horsley had 20, Lena Casperson had 14, and they limited Pauline to just 8. Boy, if you do that, and that's not easy to do. That Bingham defense played fantastic. Big win for the Miners. Coach Hector Marquez, he's got that thing starting to pick up momentum. That's a program to keep an eye on. Let's head to 5A, some interesting games. Brighton defeating Woods Cross 57-53. Ruth Larson had 20 points in that victory for the Bengals. Sophie Nilsson had 19 as well. That duo was spectacular for the Bengals, as Abel had 19, Cook 15 for Woods Cross on that night. Some rural action we want to catch you up on. Summit Academy had a big win over Highland, but this was a 1-point game at halftime. It ended up in a 32-12 second half advantage for the Bears. Summit Academy 54-33 over Highland. Keita Holmes, we saw her in the Utah Top 50. She finished with 25 points. 6 made threes for Summit Academy in the win. That's a good one. Duchesne Tabiona, 49-42 for the Eagles. Chesney Farnsworth had 19. Macy Hagman had 17. Congratulations. How about another first loss of the season? Kanab handing South Sevier their first loss in the year, as Riley Little finished with 20. Bateman had 12. Sydney Patterson finished with 18 on 4 made threes for South Sevier, as they fell 49-41 at the hands of Kanab. Another one, Wayne remaining undefeated, 52-44, the victory over Paiute, as a 17-10 fourth quarter allows Wayne to create a little bit of separation. A.J. Van Dyke with 13, Mora with 12. Morgan finished with 18, King with 16 in the loss for Paiute. One more we'll get at. We talk about first losses. American Leadership had their first loss of the season, as Caitlin Martinez led St. Joe's with 16, 50-35 your final, as the Jayhawks able to upend the Eagles. Daphne Gamble finished with 15 in that one. All right, there's a lot of games we covered. Got to make sure we don't miss anything here in our notes. That's all we have, folks. Look, holiday season's here. There's a lot of tournaments going on. Go catch them. And if you can't, don't worry. We got region play right around the corner. We've got girls action coming your ways. We'll have region games as well as great matchups in non-region games the rest of the way as we come back from the holiday season right here on KSL Sports Rewind. Thank you for joining us. We wish you the very happiest of holiday season with family, friends, whoever you're spending your time with. We want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in 2025. Man, that is crazy, with region play throughout the state. For Vince Francis, my name is Dane Stewart. Thank you for joining us here on our Girls Recap, and we'll see you next year.